So I went to Twitter and YouTube community for a poll on this topic, and well, you guys want to see it, so I went and bought some Manwha, and I got Manga already, so let's take a look and see which one's better. So going into this topic, I'm going to use two examples. I have Unordinary, which I was able to pick up at a secondhand, well, like a liquidation store. In the States, it's for people who know, it's Ollie's. I found Unordinary, the softback, for $3, so I picked it up. It's perfect for this. And then I'm using the Elusive Samurai as an example for like pricing and everything too. These were the ones I grabbed. Well, this one off the shelf first, but this is what I was able to get webtoon-wise. So let's hop into it. So we're going to start with the pros. I feel like that is the easiest thing to approach and to discuss about with both of these types of entertainment when it comes to manga and manhwa. And I will say there are going to be way more like pros than there are cons for each. I just want to sit there and say this from the beginning because I sat down and tried to make a list, went to articles and everything. We'll hop right into it. So with manga, the first thing I want to talk about is the variety of categories when it comes to manga. There are so many different categories. From isekai, which is the hottest thing right now, to shonen, aka action, like daily, weekly stuff that comes out in Shonen Jump, to slice of life, romance, adult comedy, comedy itself, slice of life comedy. There's so many subgenres and main genres of manga. You will always have something to read, always a different story, always something to find your interest. And with manga, it's crazy about how many different stories there are. There's probably something for everyone out there. For example, my favorite isekais and other different manga that I read are My Love Story, which covers slice of life and romance, which I'm going to do a video on, by the way, because they have a college version of it now. Mind blow. Reincarnated as a slime. It's an isekai. Guy died, gets reincarnated as a slime and becomes a demon lord and a bunch of other things. You have Nizukoi, which is a slice of life comedy and romance at it. It's like a harem one. You have Wild Adapt, which is like an action older style kind of manga. You have Samurai Champloo. There's so many different things that I could keep on listing with manga that are just amazing and have great stories. So when it comes to types of stories, even financial stuff like Spice and Wolf, there's so many different variety of choices when it comes to manga. You have a lot to choose from. The next thing that is a very good and amazing point for manga is the translations are way more accurate than manhwa. Manhwa's newer to the scene, so they're not as accurate. Manga has been translated for God knows how long. I mean, manga has been around since the 30s. So people have been translating, reading it, and bringing it over to the West for a long time. I won't say from like the 30s. I would say probably like the 80s, 70s, around there, because there were manga comics such as Base Battleship Yamato. That was a comic itself, and there was other different like manga made into comic forms. Then manga itself came out. So to begin with, manga was already being translated for comics, and then eventually got the physical books like we have now. So when it comes to translation, manga is way more accurate. It has way more accurate translations. Even with fan dubs, it seems to be like very more accurate compared to manhwa a lot of times. Another point that a lot of people seem to care about when it comes to this stuff and comparing is that manga is where it started all. I mean, manhwa was based on manga. Bada bing, bada boom. I mean, manga is the father of it all. If that's one of those points that people want to make and like keep comparing to, which is one that I kept finding when doing all this research, trying to compare and contrast and everything, everyone just kept bringing that up. Was based off manga. Some people find that a very important point. To me, it's whatever, but it's one that should be made a note of, at least in this video, when comparing it. So everything was based off of manga, which is how manhwa was made. Another big part of manga is shonen manga. And I say that by Shonen Jump is the biggest example of something that is around the world, translated in multiple different languages to be put out there weekly. There are thick books, especially back in the day, of Shonen Jump being released every week for people to pick up, see what the newest chapter in Dragon Ball, in Full Metal Alchemist, in, the Elusive Samurai, stuff of that nature to see every week. And that's an amazing feat that this was able to be spread around the world. I remember going down to the random Walmart and picking up Shonen Jump. That's how big it is. you could just go down the street and pick it up, especially here in the United States. That's huge. If you can make it in big box stores, you know it's a big and an important thing. Manga is everywhere now. And to be able to just go down to the Target, go to the Walmart, go to wherever to find manga, it's an amazing experience, and it's all because of Shonen Jump. And there's still nothing to this day that comes out weekly, because of, especially with the phone app, that beats it. It's manga, Shonen Jump manga, right there. That's a perfect example and a good point for pros on manga. Another part that I want to bring up is that it's had such a big influence on the world. Manga is starting to do that now because it's getting anime adaptations and such of that nature, but manga has had a huge influence. A good example would be Dragon Ball and One Piece. One of the biggest series out there that has been known all around the world. When people think manga, they think of One Piece, they think of Dragon Ball, and they think of Pokemon. Those are the three big things that were in manga form and have come to life and come to different shows. One Piece has a One Piece Kai coming on Netflix, which is like super summed down all the main points. You have One Piece, the fan letter that came out. You have the live action for One Piece. You have a bunch of movies. You have summary movies. You have a bunch of things coming out to prove how good One Piece is done. Same for Dragon Ball. So many different movies, so many like summarized versions, 4K upscales, fan dubs, everything is all stemmed from the manga. And Pokemon's Pokemon. I mean, I got a Bidoof back there. That tells you. Pokemon has expanded. The manga that came out and influenced so many generations to this day, all because of Shonen Jumps, all because of these random different titles. And it's gonna happen with Manwha eventually, if not has already started. But manga has been around for the longest, so it's already been doing it and putting its groundwork in. So, you know, it's had the biggest influence out of the two. And this one is a pro and a con, kind of. It's shorter than Manwha. I mean, Manwha. It's like double the thickness, pretty much. Manwha is way more impactful, has a lot more things going for it, but it's also a plus when it comes to manga because you can get a quick read in, bada bing bada boom, and you're done. But it's a pro and a con, so it's kind of like there, and that's why I put it on the end. Beggars can't be choosers, but if you want something shorter and it has a lot of impact, then manga is definitely a way to go. But if you want something with a bigger impact, but it's also way longer than manga, you might want to pick up Manwha for that. So going into Manwha, so the pros with Manwha, it's predominantly colored. If anything, it's all colored. I mean, flip to a random page. Color. Wow, she's getting smacked. Look at that. Picked a good thing. But it's colored. Unlike manga, it's all black and white unless there's a special edition released. So if you want something that's definitely impactful, something that has different colors, you can see how the people are supposed to be dressed, what their skin color is, and you're supposed to see how all this stuff's supposed to be coming across, because color also has hidden meanings and also has messages that are imprinted in Manwha. And it's just like in any literature or art piece, the color has impact and has a reason. Manwha does that great, and it's fantastic, and they do very well with the color palettes. And it's fantastic that it's mostly colored. So why not get it? It's great. It's colored. A lot of people want that. Manwha really emphasizes on the action and dynamics done in a series. While yes, they do a pretty decent job in manga in doing so when it comes to action scenes, Manwha takes it to the next level. Manwha has very good detailed action scenes because a lot of Manwha is action focused, so that's where the specialty comes from. That's where a lot of people get inspiration from, like Orgata High School and then Solo Leveling. You've seen those actions, you've seen those amazing things. Heck, in an Unordinary, even just talking and seeing people do stuff, just going and doing different things, you see how dynamic, how amazing, even especially right down here, you see the dynamic point they get across with Manwha, and it's fantastic. So if you want more like emphasis on the action, the impactfulness that Manwha can do, go for it, because only Manwha can have that impact, and it's good. Also, great series, by the way. You sat down and read this before the video. Really recommend that. I mean, I'll do a Manwha review if you guys want. You just need to let me know in the comments below, okay? Another thing is accessibility. While manga does have book apps and such of that nature, and then they have the Shonen Jump app, this was made for phones. There's a thing called webtoons down there. It's made for phones. They are optimized for your phone. So when it comes to accessibility and just wanting to do, like, get a read in and having that ability, this is the way to go. Manwha is everywhere, and there's so many different types. Webtoons out there. There's a bunch of other different apps, but it's optimized for the phone. So if you want something on the go, it's definitely the way to go. I don't know how many times I just said go in there, but it kind of all just kind of went together. I don't know if I'll put a counter or what, but yes, you get the point. It all blends together and it's optimized for the person on the move. Another pro for Manwha is that it reads left to right, which is way easier for the American audience, whereas a lot of people have hard time reading right to left with manga. To me, it doesn't matter. I can do either, but a lot of people struggle when it comes to that. So Manwha is easier to pick up and start with. If someone wanted to get into this kind of field, pick up manga or Manwha. Starting wise, I would probably say Manwha because of how easy it is just to pick up and read. You can pick up on a random page, you already know, all right, I'm going left to right, and done. Like, it's not like, all right, I need to figure out where it starts, I need to figure out how it goes. Especially with bubble transition, it gets a little confusing sometimes, especially if there's a lot of people talking at once in a scene in manga. But with this, I have never had an issue. I've been reading left to right, and it's just like a regular thing, never had an issue. So that's a big plus for a lot of people, especially people with learning disabilities. It's easier just to do what you're familiar with. And I do want to say that Webtoons kind of led to a revolution when it comes to phone apps and stuff, which I'm not going to go into. That could be a whole video, and I'm pretty sure there's probably a bunch of videos out there. But for example, Webtoons was what pushed Shonen to make the Shonen Jump app and made things a lot more accessible on the phone, so people would stop pirating stuff and putting them on illegal apps and not real apps, and having fan translated ones. So now that Shonen Jump has an app with all official translation and everything, a lot of people are trying to go to that. I've heard rumors of 7 Seas and other manga publishers are like, maybe we should probably go out there and do our own app as well. You can thank Webtoons for that giant renaissance and like big push when it comes to that stuff. So when it comes to the cons, there's only a couple that I can really think of. When it comes to manga, obviously it's printed black and white and it's shorter. And I've already touched on these, but 99% of manga is printed in black and white. There's always a few couple colored pictures in the beginning, usually like in the beginning of the volume or at the end, depending on how they do things or approach it. And then they make the limited edition color ones. A good example, High School of the Dead recently put a High School of the Dead in color. I say recently, it's been like 5 years, but they usually are a lot more expensive and way thicker and bigger. So take that how you want, but because of that, and they're not in color, they are cheaper. They're $10 cheaper usually than Manwha for just softbacks. The average price for a manga is about $10 to $11, and especially if you're just going shonen, it's $10 usually every single time. Other series are $11 to $13, give or take. Just depends on what you're looking at and what series and publisher and such. And then when it comes to Manwha, like I said, the pricing wise, this book, Unordinary, if I didn't get it secondhand, it would cost $20. And there's also the plus side of they make hardbacks for these too, but they're $28, like going on $30. So give or take, you're paying for the color paper pretty much. That's how I look at it. I bet if it wasn't in color, it'd probably be $10 too. Let me know what you guys think. Those are my pros and kind of cons. I couldn't really think of cons when it came to these. So let me know what you guys think if there's cons for each side. I'd love to hear more opinions on it. I sat around racking my brain looking at different like articles, trying to figure out what would be pros and cons for this. But my pros came pretty easily because, you know, experiencing it all. So let me know what you guys think. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.